That's about. Yesterday, we discussed lesson number 8, printing process, and lesson number 9, typography and composing. Today, we are going to discuss lesson number 11 and 12 in block 5, meant for house journals. Lesson number 11 is about production of house journals, and lesson number 12 is on the launching of a house journal. So, lesson number 11. It's about production of house journals. In this lesson, you are going to learn scope and functions of an internal house journal. What would be the contents and the analysis of the content of some internal and external house journals. And we do some kind of inference of the house journals during our study. And what would be the typical contents of an internal house journal? So what will go into the house journal? What are the items? What are the topics will go into? They are called contents, typical contents. And then we'll also get to know about what is the policy, that is editorial policy. Editorial policy is commonly according to the managerial policy of the organization, because the objectives of any public relations department or wing or division ought to be in consonance with the overall objectives of the organization. Then we also discuss the editorial team, who will be in the editorial team, and also about the content writers, what are the norms of production and techniques of productions of a house journal, and what is the role of illustrations and photographs in the house journals, how they should be used, and how the cover should be designed. Covers are generally four. The page 1, the top sheet is called cover 1, and the next sheet is the first back of the cover page is cover 2, and the last but one is called third one, and the back cover is fourth cover. So, and then what is masthead? Masthead is nothing but the title of whether it is a journal, whether it is a newspaper, the title page is called title, on the top of the title page is called masthead. Now, the objective of this learning this lesson is to explain the scope and importance of house journals in dissemination of information by the organization to its targeted publics. Then the second objective of this lesson is to discuss the general contents of the house journal, whether it is internal or external. And then the third objective of this learning this lesson, is to expound the techniques and tactics of production of house journals. And the fourth objective is to how the illustrations, images, photos, graphics, etc., are to be displayed in an house journal so that it looks attractive, so that it gets attention of the readers. You know, house journals are the oldest form of corporate publications, which are of utmost use in establishing the main purpose of this house journal is to establish and maintain cordial relations between the management. Because, however frequently the management tells its employees about the objectives, about the services, about the products, about the items that are being produced, and how it wanted to get into the society or the community around, that is into the market. Whenever and however and how frequently you may be in touch with the internal employees or the external people, targeted public, it would be oral only. Supposing if it is put into a print format, then it can be either newsletter or a brochure or a handout, whatever is the size of format. But the house journal serves the purpose. It is just like a newspaper internally. If a newspaper is there, it is for the general public. If a house journal is there, it is a newspaper for the internal public, generally, if it is a internal house journal. So house journal is one of the oldest publications in the public relations practice. Now, what is the scope and functions of an exclusively an internal house journal? As I told you, house journal is the oldest form of internal public relations and is one of the well-established medium of communication as far as public relations is concerned. The Boston newsletter, published in 1704, is the inspiration for contemporary, the present-day house journals. And as far as house journals are concerned, Americans are the pioneers. I mean, they are the first people to edit and circulate house journals, the medium of internal communication. According to the British Association of Industrial Editors, BAII, we also have AB's Association of Business Communicators of India. It was earlier the Guild for Industrial Editors. Similarly, British Association of Industrial Editors, it is an authoritative body of business communicators. Quote, a house journal is a publication issued periodically. Periodically, maybe it may be weekly or fortnightly or monthly or bi-monthly or quarterly, half-yearly, whatever it is. It is the periodicity. A house journal is a publication issued periodically by an industrial undertaking, industrial establishment, whatever is the generally, because in those days, during era, industrial revolution era, they only thought that industries will have its workforce and the management need to be communicated to the industrial workforce. Now, for every service, for every business, for every enterprise, there is an internal or external house journal. But the definition given by British Association of Industrial Editors is a house journal is a publication issued periodically by an industrial undertaking, a business house, or a public service organization which is not primarily devised for profit. This house journal is meant only for giving out information. It is not a prized publication. Just like a newspaper or a journal or any magazine, which is a prized publication put out into the market for the consumption, for the reading by the general public, it is exclusively meant for the internal public or sometimes external public. It ought to be free of cost. It is devised, not primarily devised for a profit. House journal is also defined as an in-house publication because it is published inside the house. House journal is also called as in-house publication, issued periodically for either its internal publics, that is employees, or its external publics, that is customers, or sometimes the house journal can be both internal and external for education purpose, for motivation purpose. The Lowell Offering was one of the house journals brought out in 1840 by Lowell Cotton Mills of America. It is the first full-fledged house journal of the world. Lowell Offering has fathered the concept of house journals as a tool of public relations. Today, in the Western hemisphere of the world, every organization, why only West, even in India also, almost every organization will publish a house journal, either physical house journal or e-house journal, electronic house journal. Now, house journals issued by professional body or a community or a caste or a creed or group addressed to their members and throwing light. And broadly, the house journals are classified into three types. Type 1 is community house journal, that is meant and produced by the community for their caste and creed people, for their information, for their gatherings, for their get-togethers, and for their rituals, for their practices, religious practices or community practices. So this kind of house journal is called a community house journal because only community issues are discussed in this. And only community-related information, community-based information is given out to the people belonging to that community. And the second type of house journal is called service sector house journal. House journals brought out by voluntary organizations promoting voluntarism and service to the society or community or service sector house journals. And the third type of house journal is corporate house journals, which we are supposed to learn about. Even though a PR practitioner, if he is working for a community organization, yes, the same thing he has to do. If he is working for a non-profit organization, that is voluntary organization or an NGO, the same thing. The same thing. The production process is same. The editorial team is same. The content analysis is same. The content should be same. It means with little variations. And uh, for corporate sector organizations, corporate means any corporate body under a corporate organization, either a production company will, production factory will be there, or a corporate hospital will be there, or a corporate college will be there, or anything, or corporate DMart like thing will be there, or a jewelry, major jewelry. Whatever is the corporate organization, whatever it's a service activity, or whatever it's production activity, or whatever it is business activity, it will have a house journal mainly meant for dissemination or revealing the information, giving out the information related to the organization. So, what are the functions of the a house journal? Whatever is the model of public relations, a PR practitioner follows either press metry, or he or she, I mean PRO, will have to will invariably make use of the house journal. House journal is the principal tool of internal communication. Today, the expectations of an average employee are much more than his paycheck. It is therefore imperative for the companies to engage their employees in the larger interests of their organizations. A well informed employee about the organizational goals and objectives is likely to function more effectively and more efficiently. So, hence, a properly planned and well executed communication strategy motivates its employees. That is the purpose. It helps build teams, reinforces pride in working for a company, and encourages people to work that bit harder to beat the competition. Now, let us look at some of the definitions. According to Bertrand Canfield, was a leading author on public relations. The major functions of internal house journals are to inform employee about the company policies and practices, to stimulate increased production by publicizing good individual performance, and the need for increased output by workers, and to develop improved morale and promote loyalty. These are all the major functions. Several authors, several experts in public relations and communication, they have given some functions. What are the functions a house journal, whether it is internal or external, can function. Internal house journal is also a binder. Since it binds together two distinct entities. One is employee lot and the other one is management. Both these entities are working for the realization of the specific preset targets, preset goals, preset objectives, preset vision and mission. So internal house journal is also a link between the management and its employees. A house journal, whether it is internal or external or both, comes under the category of controlled media. What is controlled media? A house journal is a controlled media, a newspaper is a controlled media, whereas a social media is uncontrolled media because there is no control. Every individual citizen has become, in these days, a journalist. He is a journalist of his own. That is called citizen journalism. There is no control over him. The society should control him, or the police or the law should control him. Otherwise, in the controlled media, any publication published by a corporate organization, including the House Journal, or any newspaper, or any publication published by a publishing house, or any book, or a TV channel controlled by somebody, other than YouTube's. YouTube's are produced by individuals. There is no control unless the law takes care of it or somebody objects to it. So this is the meaning of controlled media. Controlled media is always better because there is some control on the contents. There is some control so that the publisher or the contributor of the news or the writer of the article will not get attracted to the defamation that is either slander or libel. So controlled media is always better, and the public relations practitioners and corporate communicators working for the organization should know what is controlled and what is uncontrolled. Social media is uncontrolled. The controlled media is the press and the electronic media, that is radio and television, and any other publication that is scrutinized and as per the law of the land. Then, if you look at the contents, let us analyze the contents of some internal house journals. Just take, for example, Singareniyala Samacharam. We have Singareni Coal Company Limited, SCCL. It's the biggest organization in the Telangana. So it extracts coal from the earth, and it is a government company, government of India company. And of course, state is also having some kind of supervisory control. But state will always try to provide certain facilities for the organization, and because of that, state will also get some kind of revenue. But otherwise, it is a company limited, and it produces a quality of coal, and it produces a house journal called Singareniyala Samacharam. The name itself denotes, generally, the name shall clearly tell whether it belongs to a particular thing or not. Supposing Yoga Kshemam, Yoga Kshemam will generally tell it is about the security, and generally it indicates that it belongs to the LIC. Suraksha means law and order, safety. Generally, it belongs to the police. Yojana means planning. It must be of government of India. Yojana is a journal. So let us, for analyzing the content of a house journal, let us take the example of Singareniyula Samacharam. It denotes Singareni means the miners of Singareni coal galleries. Samacharam means the information about them or about the organization. Telangana Suraksha similarly. Let us take the example of only Singareniyula Samacharam. So if you analyze this, the content, first the language, it is in Telugu language. What is the size of this house journal? It is 21 and a half inches into 28 and centimeters, generally in A4 size. What is the frequency? It is bi-monthly. It means not fortnightly, once in 2 months. Number of columns are two columns per page. Number of pages, 24 pages plus 4 pages. 4 pages is always covers. Cover 1, cover 2, cover 3, cover 4. The first page is cover 1, and behind that is cover 2. The last 2 pages are inside the back cover is cover 3, and back cover is page 4. So it is 24 plus 4. It means in all it is 28 pages. It comes in multicolor, and it is printed on art paper of 60 GSM. What is the 60 GSM? Any paper that weighs 60 grams per square meter is 60 GSM. You have 70 GSM. For covers, you use 250 GSM, various kinds of. It is the weight of the paper per square meter. If it is 60 GSM, means it must be very light. 1 square meter of the paper that is used for printing this house journal weighs only 60 grams. Used for the whole issue except 4 pages, that is cover, for which normal printing paper is used. Issue is dated, generally it is August, September, October, November, December, January, something like this. The journal is profusely illustrated. It means heavily photos. Photos have been used heavily. Generally, they for every activity under the ground, over the ground, service activity, corporate social responsibility, their meeting, their management meetings with the workers, and the location. Mines will have different locations. Location wise, there will be a hierarchy management. If those meetings or welfare meetings, whatever it is, welfare measures,
a health camp or a vaccination camp, whatever happens in the area of Singareni, that becomes a news for the house journal. Then the photos, a blown up shadow cover page, a blown up shadow photograph of three laborers in a colliery, Singareni coal colliery, headgear with their headgear. It means generally a miner will have a headgear, a helmet like thing with a light Davis lamp, something like that. And in his hand, there will be definitely a shovel and a spade entering into a coal mine. That is the cover picture. And then also in the inside, the CM will be there. Uh, Whoever is the CM or whoever is the GM or who is the top head, CMD, chairman and managing director, generally it carries the photo of the CM or the minister concerned, industry minister or the CMD concerned. The second cover will have similarly, we are doing the analysis of the house journal. The second cover, inner front cover. Front cover, inner front cover is second cover. That is called second page. It contained the chairman letter and also two photographs of the CMD, and it will also have the chairman's letter. And in addition to that, another page will definitely have the editorial. It means whoever is the editor. Sometimes in the organizations, the CMD or the chief general manager will be the chief editor, and actual editor, the working editor, a PRO or any other officer assigned the duty of editor will become the editor. The contents will be welfare of the employees. All the welfare activities will be placed along with visuals, photographs, and a new direction. For example, we are analyzing one particular issue, August to September. New direction. Chief Minister exhorts Singareni should emerge as a numero uno in the whole country. Numero uno means number one. This is something like a language to attract people. If you say number one, that is usual. If you say numero, what is numero, people will try to talk about it, try to understand it. So some language, some kind of attraction, the photos, the placement, the color, the style, the paper, the glossy paper. And another content is milestones. Milestone means not the stones planted for every mile. Milestones means the achievements. Milestones means the achievements. Singareni, when it was started, what are the achievements, how it expanded, what is its export, what is its profit, what is its corporate social responsibility, how many employees, how many hospitals, how many. These are all the milestones. Then health. Health, there is one or two pages devoted in the House Journal. An advisory article with illustrations on taking care of kidneys and taking care of lungs because miners will generally get the respiratory problems. And an innovation page for the company, a laborer prepared a major soft mission. Um, that is innovation. Sometimes employees will innovate. Sometimes the engineers innovate. Sometimes the workers, miners will innovate. Sometimes the education, a miner's child or son or daughter achieves top rank in the district or in the state in his or her 10th class. So these are all. And something will go to the center spread. Center spread means 24 pages plus 4 pages. The center spread will be the facing pages under the pin or stitch. They where the pinning or stitching is done. Then corporate social responsibilities, another news around the world, something related to the coal industry around the world. Suppose Australia has produced so much of thing, and some other country which produces the coal. Australia is known for coal. Some other countries which so far has not found any coal has found something coal under the ground. So that becomes a news. So all this comes under news around the world. And some pages are devoted for environment, some kindly, friendly environment. Nature is also important. So many plants have been planted in this particular quarter or particular year because the coal area will generally produce more heat because of the mines and minerals under the ground. For that, lot of green cover, that is, plants are necessary. Unless plants are unless the plants are there, a lot of green cover is there, it is impossible for the not only the miners under the ground, but also the on the ground, also in the villages. A lot of heat will be generated. There will be a lot of radiation. In order to reduce the radiation, there must be a green cover. These things can be covered in the house journal. Some humor pages also, so because all may not be serious people. Some workers can be cartoonists, some can be humorous people. They can be, and some old memories. This is the analysis. Old memories means some black and white photos when the Singareni coal collieries was first established, how it looked like, how the area was desert looking, in comparison with how it is, how green it is right now. So these are all the contents. And now, uh, after seeing the contents of House Journal, the typical contents of the House Journal, we have analyzed the one particular issue contents. Now, the typical contents, what should generally go? A regular feature titled from the chairman's desk, from the CMD's desk, or from the editor's desk. A brief editorial by the editor of the journal. These are all the typical contents for any house journal. So far, we have discussed about Singareniyala Samacharam, the issue number August or September of a particular year. What was there? Now it is about the typical contents of any internal house journal. It will have the from the chairman CMD desk, or the voice of the CMD, or the editorial, a special feature topic countries. Every issue there will be a special feature. Then our landmarks or milestones are one and the same. For their welfare is another topic or heading. Under that, the employees' welfare will be there. Then inspiration, somebody inspired something. That was inspirational. Some success stories, some health, some social welfare, the cultural cavalcade, the humor, the question answer column. An expert is questioned, his answers is his answers are placed under question and answer column as an interview. A regular column for from their pen. Some expert will be there. For children's corner, students' corner, some humor page, these are other. And then editorial policy. What is the editorial policy? Every newspaper intended to communicate with the public, either internal or external, or internal come external, will have an editorial policy within the framework of which the journal carries its content. Editorial policy must be according to the policy of the organization or the management. If it steps out of the organization, it becomes a controversy. So the policy of the newspaper, the policy of the house journal, or the policy of the PR wing, or the policy of the PR department should be in consonance. It should confine to the overall policy, overall objective, overall aims, overall vision and mission of the organization. Supposing the policy of the organization is something else for the welfare of the organization. If the house journal carries other than the welfare, suppose it is an NGO or not for voluntary organization or not for profit organization, all the content should rally around the welfare of the community and the society, or the particular community people, or particular section of people. If it is carrying a news about the rocket science, or the engineering and technology, or the trade and business and commerce, so it defeats the purpose. Of course, if it is relevant, of course, if the topic is relevant, even though it is not directly linked to the objective of the organization, then it is okay. Otherwise, it becomes irrelevant. The readers will reject it because the targeted audience, the house journal, internal or external, is created and is being brought out only because for the consumption of the particular targeted people. If the contents are going above their head, if they are not needed by the people, the readers as such, then it will be rejected. The management asks the editorial to close down or correct its versions. Then editorial team. That is the editorial policy. The policy should be according to the policy of the management. That is one thing that is clear. Now, what is the editorial team? The first phase of bringing out a house journal is gathering the content for the journal. This has to be processed through persons experienced in the field of journalistic writings. If he is not educated in either graduate or postgraduate in journalism and mass communication, or public relations and mass communication, or business communication, whatever it is, if he is not well versed or at least not aware of how the journalistic writing should be, he should not be entrusted the job of editing a journal. Editor must be sufficiently qualified, and he should have some experience in the field of journalistic writing or PR writing, public relations writing. Because journalists and public relations are two sides of the same coin. They write for the general public, these people write for the targeted public. So that should be kept in mind. An editor must be an experienced, qualified, and with well versed in the field of journalistic writing or public relations writing, writing to inform the targeted public. The editorial team of a house journal depends upon the number of pages and content of the house journal. If the house journal is of a magazine type with more number of pages and more areas of coverage, it requires more editorial staff. For example, the Telugu edition of Yojana. Yojana is one of the Government of India publications, the Government of India media units publications. A Government of India journal, it is. It has only an editor and an assistant editor in the editorial team. And in some larger magazines, one editor, one assistant editor, and one sub editor, and a number of contributors. A PR manager can be editor, or the corporate communication manager can be either editor himself or assistant editor or sub editor in case the CMD is the chief editor or the chief general manager in the hierarchy or chief general manager in charge of corporate communications and public relations himself becomes the editor, the PRO, because he is also well versed, he is at least studied and aware of what publications are and they must be how they must be brought out. He can be he should be in the editorial team. Then the next step is content writers. The editor writes editorial, the sub-editor and assistant editor and sub-editor, um, sometimes associate editor will be there. Yes, when that editorial team is there, they will take care of editorial part, editing part of the journal. But there must be some the content writers, contributors, correspondents, reporters. They should gather information, they should write, and this editorial team will see whether it fits into the thing, whether the content, the writing will transgress, attract any infringements, attract any defamation, attract anything that goes against the organization and its policies. Then all these things will be taken care by the editorial team according to the policy, but there must be content writers. Uh, a house journal generally can accommodate two types of material: fixed columns, changing columns. A fixed column can be editorial, letters to the editor, quotes or proverbs, the programs coming up, upcoming, the programs that already happened. Uh, Let us know is another column where people will be made known what is new, what is innovative. Success stories, sometimes question and answers. And these are only suggestive, anything can be. Then other things can be Independence Day, Labor Day, Martyrs Day, Republic Day, Women's Day. These things also can be taken care. Excuse me, sorry. There will be totally different types of columns for internal house journals, like as I told you, chairman's message, editorial, a topical feature, landmarks of the organization, employee welfare, humor. Any newspaper or journal is meant for the readers. As Gandhi said, if a newspaper has no readership, it means there is absolutely no need for its existence. Why? What for? If something is done, something is made out only for the consumption. If it is a product, it is for consumption. If it is a service, it is for the service. If it is for information, it is for dissemination. If there are no takers, there is no use in production. There is no use in extending the service. There is no in printing and distribution of a publication. Then what are the production norms and techniques of a house journal? To commit the organization for bringing out a house journal, the public relations practitioner has to budget the publication carefully. How much money is required? What are the things to be required? Source. The budget proposal may include expenditure on the following items. What are the items? One is editorial, newspaper and magazine purchase of reference books, newspaper, newsprint or paper, whatever it is, library management expenditure on computers, computer by purchasing or computer maintenance, internet charges, having internet connection and paying its monthly or whatever it is, periodical charges, honorarium for the contributors, that is, writers of articles, honorarium for part-time reporters, correspondents, and expenditure on photographs, photographer. Photographer will go and take the pictures. Generally, on an occasion, on an event, a photographer is invited, and those photographs are used. But for house journal purposes, a photographer for the house journal is engaged, or the same photographer will be specifically deputed to take some pictures while there are no activities, quiet and calm, the environment, the work sites, the workplace, and how the people are working, how the workers are working, how the production process is going on, what is the plant, what is the machinery, what is the floor shop, if it is a production, and if it is a service, what kind of service, if it is a hospital, how the hospital is looking like, the laboratory, the patient's treatment from OP to inpatient, the various labs. These are all the things. If it is a corporate college and the journal is there, the corporate building, the classrooms, the lectures, the library, the lab, everything, all these things are to be photographed and they have to be used. Then typesetting and type designing. For that, pre-press charges will have the processing, printing, and paper costs. Distribution after printing was over, it has to be packed and postage to be incurred. It depends upon the mailing list. Some are subscribers, some are complimentary copies, some to the VIP, some to the government offices, something like that. And marketing promotion. If the uh, journal is to be marketed, some handbills, direct mailing, posters, all these things, these are all budgeting has to be made. And what is the size of the paper? Generally, the house journals have a specific sizes. One is A4 size. A4 size is generally your textbook, your course material textbook is A4. Generally, house journals will be of the same size. A4 size is 21 into 30.5 centimeters. You know, A4 size paper. For everything, the universal size of paper is A4. The other one is full scale or legal size. Also, it is called demi-quarto. Demi-quarto means a newspaper folded four times is called demi-quarto. Its size is 22.5 into 29 centimeters. Tabloid. Generally, evening newspapers are brought out on tabloid size. House journals also can be brought out on tabloid sizes. Tabloid is 45 into 29 centimeters. And then tabloid on newsprint is 40 into 27.71. Magazine on newsprint is 27.5 into 20 centimeters, a little bigger than A4 size. So these are all the size. And what is the layout? Layout means the plan of a house journal, how it should look like, how many columns, what is the masthead, how the photos are to be arranged, how the illustrations are to be arranged, how the graphs are to be arranged for everything, how the headings, how the subheadings, what is the font, what is the style, all these things. And then proofreading is another exercise. Proofreading is proofreading for formatting the mistakes We have already discussed in one of the lessons about proofreading. Proofreading is very important. If you bring out a beautiful, a colorful magazine, and if it is full of spelling mistakes and grammatical mistakes and typographical mistakes and other mistakes, the purpose gets defeated. So proofreading is also very important. And how to use illustrations and photographs. Photographs can be classified into three. That is, one is news photographs and human interest photograph, artistic photographs. Human news photographs are for the meetings, culture, current events, action photos are all news photographs because they generate news. Along with the news, those photographs can be used. Human interest photographs, they touch the emotions. Sometimes natural calamities, a crisis, or of animals, something. Or some animals are tended, they are being fed by the workers or by the employees, or an organization is maintaining a aquarium or a bird sanctuary. These are all human interest, or the employees or the organization itself periodically conducts gives out clothes to the beggars in the community, or organizes health checkup or for the employees, or free distribution of these are all human interest photographs. They can be used. And artistic photographs are about nature, flora and fauna, smiling and playing of children, which pleases the eyes. They are all artistic photographs. So photographs have been classified, they can be used. And writing photo caption is also very important. Graphs and charts, as I told you, graph is a line graph, charts, diagrams, pie diagram, histogram, horizontal, vertical, whatever it is, these are all things. And logos appropriately to be used. If you are using a logo for an organization in your journal, care should be taken that the same color, the same size, same proportions, along with the name to be used. It should not be distorted. Otherwise, it becomes an infringement, or it means a violation, and people may get angry and may sue the organization, not the journal also, not only the journal. So all these things, drawings, pictures, imaginations, logos, and their colors, how the cartoons, the maps, they have to be. And cover design is also important. Cover design must be get done very carefully by the specialists. You have graphic designers. You anyway, for printing house journals, you'll be approaching a printing press. A printing man will offer you, because he has employed one graphic designer. If you give your idea or the management idea, he will design it. And that each time the cover page, when designed, it must be got approved by the management, because the editor is not the alone. Maybe sometimes the CMD is the chief editor. It should please not only the people, not only the management, but also the government, because it goes to the government. If something is going wrong, the government gets angry, and just because of the house journal, the whatever is the benefit that the organization is going to get from the government will be deprived. So masthead, as I told you, masthead is the, supposing you take any newspaper, the newspaper will carry a masthead, that is heading, and the ear panels on either side. Below that, the place of publication, the volume, and similarly for house journal also. For every time below the masthead, if it is priced, generally it is not priced, distributed free. The publication number of copies, all these details will be there. That is called masthead. Now, after looking at the production techniques and production nuances, the what are all the things involved in the production of a house journal? Now, let us look at the lesson number 12, that is last lesson in this thing. Book is called Launching of House Journal. How to launch a house journal? House journal, it is meant for giving out information, either for internal or external people. And in this launching of house journal, we will see how a house journal is to be registered under what act, what are all the laws involved, what are all the regulations involved, then how a house journal should be registered, and what is postal concession, how it should be availed, when it should be availed, when it can be availed, and what is mailing list, how it should be compiled, and how to identify the authors or the correspondents or the contributors or the reporters, and how to bring finally, how to bring a good house journal. The objective of this lesson is to acquaint with what the Registration of Books and Newspapers Act states. What is the Act of Press and Registration of Books Act, and who is a registrar for newspapers for India, registrar of newspapers for India, and how to relate the procedure, how to register a house journal. There is a process, there is an authority at different levels before it is registered and even after it is registered for renewal, compilation of mailing list, and act on the preliminary steps to be taken in bringing out the house journal, periodical declaration. These are all the things. The first step before starting the journal is to finalize its name. For everything, there must be a name. For individuals, there are names. For villages, there are names. For cities, there are states. Similarly, for a newspaper, there is a name. For a publication, there is a name. And more so, particularly for a house journal, there shall be an appropriate name that should reflect the organization or the activity of that organization. For example, Singareniyala Samacharam, very aptly it says about the information related to the workers of Singareni coal galleries. Telangana Suraksha means Telangana safety. Who looks after the safety? The police will looks after the safety by ensuring the law and order. So similarly, the name is very, very important. The name will have to be registered. That becomes the name of the house journal. No other organization should use that if you register that. If you don't register that, there is every likelihood, every chance for others to use that name. Therefore, Singareniyala Samacharam cannot be used by anybody other than the Singareni Coal Collieries House Journal. What are the objectives and goals of the House Journal? Who are the readers? Your internal public or external public? Whether the title you intend reflects the objectives and goals of the journal, whether the title is easily understood by one and all. You cannot give, suppose, numero uno, unless people understands what is number one. Numero uno is number one. If it is numero uno, generally for speed, for race, this is used. Say maybe for car company. Suppose who is the most best-selling company in the country, for example, maybe Maruti is the number one, or Hyundai is the number one. Supposing their journal will have the name of numero race cars, they also producing race car, then it is appropriate. But for Singareniyala Samacharam, you cannot say numero For Singareniyala Samacharam, you cannot give some other name. So therefore, it should reflect the objectives, the activities of the organization, overall objectives. Whether the title has a lesser number of alphabets or it is confusing. Maybe one word or two words is okay. If it is a sentence, it is not a name. It is not a title. Whether anyone else is publishing the journal with the same title, all these things will come to know only when you go for the registration process. So this is called registration is the first step. There is an act called Registration of Books and Newspapers Act. Press and Registration of Books Act 1867. 1867 means immediately 10 years after Sipai's meet in 1857. In those days, the press was press freedom. The people, the governments have started recognizing the press of freedom, and at the same time, the British government started imposing on the freedom of the press in India. So Gagging Act, First Press Commission, Second Press. These are all the these are all the events that have taken place in the history of India, at least, both giving some kind of regulations to the press for registration and also placing some restrictions at the same time, giving some press freedom also over a period of time. In the first instance, a panel of 5 titles has to be forwarded to the press registrar. Supposing you wanted to fix a name, give a name, a title to the house journal, you have to write down 5 names. Supposing already there is a name with little variation, it becomes confusing and there will be a dispute also according to the Copyrights Act or something. Therefore, what you have to do is you have to coin 5 different names that are closer to the organization and the house journal and send them to the for registration under this act so that one of the 5 will be clear. Supposing the others may tally some other place, that will be dropped, only one thing will be finalized. Under section 5 and 6 of this act, particular Press and Registration of Books Act, the publisher's declaration has to be authenticated by the magistrate. Here, magistrate means not the judicial magistrate, but the collector and district magistrate, if it is in the district. Otherwise, if it is in the city, the commissioner of police concerned, or the person authorized by the collector and district magistrate is below him is the revenue divisional officer or sub-divisional magistrate, or if the city police commissioner is there, below him in the particular area is the deputy commissioner of police concerned, or the additional police commissioner, whatever it is, according to their delegation of powers. Now, penalties under PRB, a press and registration. If something violated under section 16, the penalties will be there, some fines will be there, or stoppage or cancellation of registration, some penalties will be there. And a panel of 5 titles will be anyway sending to the proposed house journal, as it has to be forwarded to the press registrar at the district level or the commissioner, and through him it will go to the registrar of newspapers for India. And after publishing the first issue of the journal, of a copy of the same, along with the following document, should be sent to the registrar of newspapers for India. A declaration by the management or the editorial, a copy of the title cleared by the RNI, an affidavit in the prescribed format stating that there is no partnership with any foreign agency, that is a requirement. The first copy of the journal, the next copy thereof, and latest copies. Tick the category under which your journal falls among those listed categories for the RNI. At the end of every financial year, a declaration has to be given in the prescribed form as per the Act. Form number 4 should be published. It should be published, not only given, it should be published by every journal before the issue ending March 31st. Supposing if it is a half yearly, it should appear in the first half year. If it is a quarterly, it should appear in the March issue, January, February, March issue. If it is a bi-monthly, suppose January, February, it should March and April, it should appear in March and April issue. So these are all the requirement and regulations. Now, what is postal concession? After registration, it is beneficial for any organization to get the postal concession, because this is not a commercial venture. It is only meant for the consumption of the concerned publics, that is employees or external stakeholders. Therefore, along with the registration, along with the copies, it has to be sent to the postmaster general concerned in the area seeking for a postal concession. Suppose for an ordinary cover of a closed cover, it may be rupees 5 rupees or 10 rupees, or maybe 2 rupees. If you get a postal concession, you will get at the rate of 25% of what actually the postage is charged. It means if it is 1 rupee, suppose that postage is for other people, it is for other general postage is 1 rupee. If you get the postal concession by producing all these things, registration, certificate with the Register of Newspapers for India. You will get it for book post. For book post, you will get it for 25 paisa only. For book post. What is book post? What is closed cover? What is registered post? You are aware. Need not tell. Book post is it should not be closed. There must be some. If it is a journal, it is folded once. There is a small wrapper on it. It bears the address from and to address. Everything is printed, not in typing, not in handwritten. If it is handwritten, it will not. Something other than the publication, some other communication is there, it will be rejected. It should be exclusively meant for that particular publication, only that publication, and a printed wrapper or handwritten paper also. But other than from address to address and the journal, if anything is there, it will carry more charge. So your mailing list is already pre-printed. Every time you get a print, cut it and roll it on the newspaper, affix 25 paisa or whatever it is, whatever is prevailing rate. If it is 25, if it is 1 rupee, 25 paisa. If it is 2 rupees, 50 paisa. If it is 5 rupees, 25% of that. So that charges will be there. By getting the title registered, one can get concessional postage facility from the postal department. General can be posted at a nominal rate of just around 25%, as I told you. So the next step is compilation of mailing list. Who will be in the mailing list? In the mailing list, there will be subscribers of the journal. Subscribe means either free or for payment. Generally, it shall be free of cost. But for the employees, it will be distributed because it is within the organization. It can be distributed across by hand. Or it will be placed at one place. They will collect 1 or 2 copies. If it has to go outside, if it has to go outside, there must be certainly a mailing list. Supposing from headquarters, it is being dispatched every time, every publication. So for the people outside, either the bulk copies will be sent through their vehicles or it shall be posted. For example, for RTC, there is no need for postal concession, there is no need for mailing list, except for the other than employees, those who are secretariat in the directorates or in the head office or for the journalists or media houses or media channels. For them, it has to be posted. For that, a mailing list is necessary. If it is exclusively for employees, RNA is a must, but postal concession is not necessary. Mailing to that extent is only to that extent is not necessary because for RTC will go to every depot from headquarters. Hyderabad. If it is Hyderabad, house journal is produced in Hyderabad. In Telangana, there is every depot. For every depot from Hyderabad, there will be a bus. It will be distributed. Suppose a regional office is there, it will go to regional office, from regional office to depot level. So at depot level, the driver and conductor, the controller or somebody, whoever is there, if it is printed in dual language, okay. Otherwise, if it is Telugu, because the official language of the state is Telugu, the employees will receive them and read them. So mailing list is to be prepared. In that, there will be the addresses of the people to whom the copy is to be sent. Mailing is to be updated every time, for every issue it is to be updated. Also, it has to go as some complementary copies to some identified people. Also to the contributors, the authors of the article, they will also find place in them. The mailing list generally it should be a comprehensive one. The list should contain VVIPs, CM's office, minister's office, governor's office, VVIPs, subscribers if the publication is priced, free exchange list, free list, voucher copy list to the advertisers. If you get some advertisement into the organization for the publication, 3 copies along with the voucher will have to go to the advertisers if they give support, advertising support for advertising their articles in your house journal. And some distribution list of house journal, that is employees, article contributors, file copy list. Every time 10 or 20 copies will have to be filed for future reference. So this is about the mailing list. Now, identification of authors. The content needs for the house journal will be available at times in the daily, weekly, and fortnightly newspaper. Same is the case with the house journal. So you have to identify the expert writers who can write all these things. You have to approach them and ask for articles, and even sometimes your employees can be contributors to the organization. Sometimes your officers can be contributors to the organization. Sometimes you can gather information from newspapers, internet, or the upcountry newspapers, and even the social media. Verify it and publish it. Without verification, you cannot publish it. For that, media literacy, information literacy is important, and this is already the editors will get to know. And public relations practitioners on corporate communication should necessarily understand what is media literacy, what is misinformation, what is disinformation, how information shall be checked before it is being printed into the newspapers. So this is all about the production of a house journal and launching of a house journal. With this, we have completed all the 12 lessons in 6 classes. Thank you very much. Thank you for the listening, and thanks a lot to the university for giving me this opportunity to interact with you, to teach you the lessons of public relations. Thank you very much. Namaste.